Let me hear you sing it out.
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate.
Let me hear you sing it out.
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate.
Say we choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
Now let me hear you sing it out.
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate.
We choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
A little bit louder.
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate.
We choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
Now let me hear him sing it out.
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation.
I can't hear you. Come on, say it. We choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
One more time. We're gonna heal the hate.
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the
We
hate.
choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
We're gonna heal the hate.
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the
We
hate.
choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
Now say this. This is what democracy looks like.
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 This is what freedom looks like.
This is what freedom looks like.
This is what justice looks like.
This is what justice looks like. We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate.
Put your hands together, say it.
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the
We
hate.
choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
We choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose
One more
democracy.
time. Say this. This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what freedom looks like.
This is what freedom looks like.
This is what, hey, justice looks like.
This is what justice looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what
We
democracy
choose
looks
hate.
like.
We choose to heal the hate.
In this nation, we choose to heal the
Hey,
hate.
we choose
We
democracy.
choose democracy in this nation.
We choose democracy. One more time. We're gonna heal the
We're
hate.
gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the
We
hate.
choose
We
democracy.
choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
Just y'all say it. Hey,
Just say.
yeah, we choose democracy. Hey, we're gonna heal the hate. Y'all sound real good. Sing it. Sing it like a prophet. Shout it out, shout it out.
Hey!
And then say, this is what freedom looks like. This is what
Freedom looks like.
Oh, these I'm sorry.
unity looks like.
This is what unity looks like.
This is what justice looks like.
This is what justice looks like.
This is what love looks like.
This is what love looks like. We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the
We
hate.
choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose
We're
democracy.
gonna heal the
We're
hate.
gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the
We
hate.
choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We
One
choose
more time.
democracy.
Let me hear you sing it out.
Come
on and raise your sing it out. We choose democracy. Now make some noise. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was
stayed on freedom.
I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was
Stayed on freedom. Hallelujah.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
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 Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on justice.
Stayed on justice.
Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was
Stayed on justice.
Oh, I I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Let's say freedom. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Let's say justice. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on justice. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on justice. Let me see you wave your hand. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on justice. Hallelujah, hallelujah, oh, hallelujah. We give you glory, God. Hallelujah. Yeah. Let's sing it again. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind, it was stayed on freedom. I believe it, say there. Hallelujah. It'll stay right there. Hallelujah. Forever and evermore. Hallelujah. Yeah. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Yeah, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was I believe it, y'all. Yeah, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. To the Most High God. Hallelujah. 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 Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 Can we go one more time? Yeah. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 Say hallelujah. 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 It's the highest praise. Hallelujah. Oh. Say hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory. Glory. Somebody shout glory. Glory. Oh, glory. Somebody declare glory. Glory. Oh, glory. Yeah. Glory. Somebody scream glory. Glory. Hey, glory. Glory.
Let's hear it for the Baltimore Choir, huh? Hi, I'm Ben Jealous, President of People for the American Way. Thank you all for being here in the cold and in the COVID. On January 6, 2021, armed far right-wing militants, incited by former President Trump and a faction of his allies, including government officials elected to serve the public and defend our Constitution. These militants attacked our Capitol and our democracy, then tried to deny the reality of their insurrection and cover up their role in this deadly attack. January 6th was a violent attack against all Americans and everything we stand for as a country. It was an attack against our democracy. It was an attack against our freedom. The big truth is that the big problem is the big lie. Trump's big lie drove people to participate in this violent attack and has fueled effort in states across this country to pass the biggest wave of voter suppression laws that we have seen since the rise of Jim Crow.
That's right.
Let's be clear. Donald Trump lost the election by an overwhelming vote, more than 7 million votes. The people of America have spoken.
Yes, we did.
And the people who came here to attack the Capitol attacked our nation, our democracy, and everything it stands for. But no matter our color, our ethnic background, our religious background, or our party, most Americans understand the truth and believe that protecting the freedom to vote is essential to protecting our democracy. And we also believe that people who betray our nation, people who endanger the lives of public servants, not only have no business governing in our name, but need to be punished as the criminals they are. We are here today to reflect on the one-year anniversary of this terrible assault, which continues to threaten our democracy. We are also here to lift up a call to action, to support everyone involved in these attacks being held accountable for the crimes they have committed. I want to thank you again for standing up for the best of this country. Now, I was just with my grandma. She's 105. She descends from Thomas Jefferson's grandma by her other grandchildren that were the family's slaves. Her grandfather was born into slavery and served as one of the last black statesmen in Virginia before state-level voter suppression laws made it impossible for men like him to serve. Let us never go back. Let us always go forward. Let us remember that it is the courage and the commitment of people like ourselves to defend the great American dream that has only ever allowed evil to be vanquished and good to triumph and our democracy to prosper. It is my great honor to introduce the Executive Vice President of Public Citizen, Lisa Gilbert, my co-MC for this evening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Gilbert, Executive Vice President with Public Citizen, and I'm excited to be co-emceeing with Ben Jealous tonight. I am honored to welcome everyone to this vigil. We are here to solemnly reflect on what happened to our democracy exactly 1 year ago. We need to discuss how to move forward together as a country. January 6th was a dark day for our nation, for our democracy, for our right to vote, and to have that vote counted. It was a day where a violent insurrection based on a big lie almost stopped the peaceful transfer of our power. So this January 6th, exactly 1 year later, Americans are standing together at over 350 vigils around the country to make sure that in America, the voters decide the outcomes of our elections. We get to choose the leaders that represent us so that we have a government of, by, and for the people. That's right. We are also gathering to remember those that were lost on January 6th, to honor their memories, and to recognize the trauma of those who were here at this very day, at this moment, at this spot, who experienced it. We must recognize that we have to prevent this attack from ever happening again. So we are looking to our elected officials to continue to investigate the insurrection, but also to pass urgently needed voting rights legislation and democracy reform legislation that will protect this country from the anti-democratic forces who are continuing their efforts to destroy it. So again, I am so honored to be with all of you tonight. We are going to begin our Vigils program by hearing from those among us who experienced the trauma firsthand in an up-close and personal way. So I am thrilled that we are kicking off our program with Representative Jamie Raskin. Representative Raskin is a true democracy champion. He is the representative of Maryland's 8th District, and he is a member of the 1-6 Select Committee. Rep. Raskin, bring you up.
Well, hello, public citizens, and hello, natural persons, and hello, democratic patriots here in Washington and all across the country. Hello to everybody who's standing up for democracy. Someone asked me what I'm going to do to observe and commemorate the insurrection, and you know, we don't have a lot of experience with commemorating insurrections in American life, but I decided I'm going to observe the first anniversary of January 6th by celebrating the people who defended our lives and our democracy on January 6th. So could we hear it to begin with for Officer Gunnell, and Officer Dunn, and Officer Fanone? Can we hear it for Officer Hodges, who was stuck in that doorway for 10 or 15 minutes and then went back out to fight the hordes of fascist mobs that were raining down blows on our officers? Can we hear it for the cops who defended our democracy on January 6th? And where are all those phony defenders of law enforcement who only rear their ugly heads when some racist cop beats up an African-American citizen? We don't hear from them about January 6th, do we? We stand with the cops like we stand with the firefighters, like we stand with the teachers, like we stand with all public employees, the servants of the people. My friends, I greet the American majority this evening on January 6, 2022. Never forget that Hillary Clinton beat him by 3 million votes and Joe Biden beat him by 7.5 million votes. We're winning our congressional elections by millions and millions of votes. The young people are on our side. The new Americans are on our side. They are a shrinking minority party standing with the most authoritarian, fascistic elements of the whole country. That's right. Yeah. And can we hear it for constitutional patriots like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who are standing up for our democracy? You go back and you look at the history of coups and fascism on earth. Progressives and liberals can never defeat fascism on their own. It is always progressives and liberals in the center right that come together to defend democracy. And we're going to do it again here in the United States of America. We are the majority. We are the majority. And I admit that they've got control over a lot of the levers of anti-democratic power in America, like the gerrymandering of our congressional districts, and like the filibuster, and like all of their voter suppression tactics, and like the court packing and right-wing judicial activism. But none of them can beat the power of the organized people of the United States of America. In every state, in every county, and in the Congress. So, we're in the fight of our lives, aren't we? Yeah. And that's why I'm glad you're out here tonight. And I know there are people fighting for every democracy cause we've got. Do we have any people here who are residents of the Washington, D.C. itself here tonight? Well, I want to say, my friends, we have passed in the House of Representatives statehood for Washington, not once, but twice. And we know that you are the only residents of a capital city on the planet Earth who are not represented in your own parliament. We are going to get statehood for the people of Washington, D.C. We're going to make that happen. And I want to thank the people of Washington because you have a real political grievance. There's real injustice here. And you know what? You didn't come and beat the daylights out of our officers, and you didn't storm the Capitol, and you didn't shut down the peaceful transfer of power in America. You're doing it the right way. You're building nonviolent, popular power, movements for change, the only thing that's ever worked for real in American history. We are the heirs to the civil rights movement. We are the heirs to the women's movement. We are the heirs to the LGBTQ movement. We are the heirs to the environmental movement, the human rights movement, the peace movement. We are the democracy movement, and we're going to save American democracy.
We love you, Jamie!
So, we got some tough days ahead of us, there's no doubt. But I know that the people here and the people at Vigils across the country are standing up for strong democracy in America. We know what our parents fought for. We know what our grandparents fought for. We know what our great-grandparents fought for. We know what prior generations of Americans fought for. And we are a movement that is the heir to the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Social Security and Medicare and the Affordable Care Act. We are the heir to the civilizing movements of American history. And if Donald Trump and Steve Bannon and Roger Stone and Michael Flynn think that they are going to steal away from us the products and the progress of American democracy, they don't know who we are. They don't know who we are. Thank you, public citizen. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Let's hear Congressman Raskin. And let's hear it once again for all of the officers who stood up to defend our democracy that day. More than 800 from D.C. responded. And now it's my great honor to bring up my fellow organizer, the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus and the great congresswoman from Washington State, Ms. Pramila Jayapal.
Citizen, people for the American way, Americans who are not going to take any of this lying down but are going to fight for what we deserve and what is right, our democracy. Hello, and we are just beginning. Is that right? Now, this is a somber day for us, and we just came, members of Congress, many of us came from a really beautiful, cathartic experience of giving testimonials about our experience on January 6th, a year ago. And I can tell you I was trapped in the gallery along with some of my colleagues that you'll hear from. And I remember every moment of it vividly. I remember the pounding on the doors of the insurrectionists. I remember crawling on my knees under banisters with a cane in one hand because I just had a knee replacement surgery 5 weeks before. I remember lying on the floor with a gas mask in one hand and the cane in the other, thinking about how if I couldn't get up and leave, which I didn't think I would be able to, that I would attack the knees of whoever came to attack me, because I wasn't going to take it lying down, not without a fight. And I remember thinking that I may not make it out of there alive, and that we may not have seen our democracy survive. But the thing that I keep with me to this day, a year later, is that we saved democracy. And when I say we, I am not talking about we members of Congress. I'm talking about we the people. All the people who voted that day or that election to get rid of a corrupt president who was trying to steal an election. All the people who ensured that no matter what happened, we were not going to succumb to the insurrectionists, the Capitol Police officers that Jamie talked about. And God bless Jamie Raskin for everything that he has gone through and all the leadership that he has shown as we impeached, as he led the impeachment trial in the Senate, where, don't forget, we got more votes, more bipartisan votes to impeach that president than ever before. It just wasn't quite enough because there wasn't enough courage. There wasn't enough courage and commitment to our democracy at that time.
That's right.
But as we made it out of that gallery, and as we think about it today, I think the thing that is hardest is that this is not something that is a marker of something past. It is actually still clear in present danger. And it is why it is so important that you are here, because everything we believe in is on the line right now. And there is nothing that anyone can do that is more powerful than the collective coming together and insisting we are going to organize and we are never going to give in and we are going to make sure we stand up and we protect this democracy as has been done before, and before so many times at so much sacrifice and so much cost. And at the end of the day, being human is a courageous act. And particularly being an activist is a courageous act. Because it's pretty easy to go back and say, you know what, we didn't get what we wanted, I'm done, I'm frustrated, I can't do this anymore, I'm tired. But you're out here on January 6th in the cold because you know that any change we have ever had in this country has come about because people like you got together with other people like you, and it spread. The power of a collective movement for a collective democracy has always been the greatest strength of our democracy. That is what Public Citizen does. That is what People for the American Way does. That is what you do every day when you stand up and you say, I'm going to fight to pass Build Back Better. I'm going to fight to make sure that we have voting rights. I'm going to fight for DC statehood. I'm going to fight for Medicare for all. I'm going to fight for our democracy to deliver the kind of justice that we know is possible. So thank you all so much for that belief, for that faith, for that commitment, for never giving up, because we are far stronger than any of those cowardly people that stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Far stronger. Thank you, everybody.
Let's hear it from Ms. Jayapal. Great Congressman, great chair of the Progressive Caucus. And now it's my great honor to bring out the good friend of my godfather, Bill Chappelle, our Congresswoman from Washington, D.C., our great patriot and fearless leader, Congresswoman Norton, Eleanor Holmes Norton.
Yes, thank you for bringing us out on this cold winter night in the face of the Capitol of the United States to commemorate January 6th. Thank you for coming to your capital and to my district, the District of Columbia. Yes, it was 1 year ago today. A day we will never let the country or the world forget. When we witnessed an outrageous assault on this U.S. Capitol as Congress was meeting to count the electoral votes for the last election. The attack was not only an attack on democracy, it was an attack on the District of Columbia where we are now standing. The D.C. Police Department, which is paid for by D.C. residents who are denied representation in the House and the Senate and full self-government, moved voluntarily to save the lives of members of Congress, congressional staff, the Capitol, and democracy itself. Yet, House Republicans thanked D.C. by voting against the D.C. statehood bill only a few months after the attack. The Capitol attack focused the world on the lack of local autonomy for the residents of the Capitol of the United States. The president controls the D.C. National Guard, yet the governors of the states and the territories control their National Guards. During the January 6th attack, the former president delayed sending the D.C. National Guard to the Capitol for hours, likely costing lives. Only statehood would give D.C. the full and equal control of its local affairs. January 6th showed it needs and deserves. We have made historic progress on our D.C. statehood bill in the last few years. Last April, the House passed the D.C. statehood bill for the second year in a row. In the Senate, there are a record 45 co-sponsors of the bill with our extraordinary Senate sponsor of the bill, Tom Copper of Delaware, making it 46 supporters. And remember, there are only 50 members. And last year, the Senate held the second ever hearing on our D.C. statehood bill. Most important of all, and hear this now, according to a very detailed poll, 54% of the American people now support statehood for the residents of your nation's capital. Remember that number. That's more than a majority of the American people. The monument is clearly on our side. As we press for protection for our democracy on this January 6th commemoration, D.C. statehood is more important and timely than ever. D.C. residents pay the highest per capita federal taxes in the country and pay more in total federal taxes than 21 states. Our residents have served and died in every American war since the Revolution, which was fought over taxation without representation. On this first anniversary of the unprecedented attack on our democracy, Let us make this an occasion to remember the nearly 700,000 residents of our nation's capital lack the same democratic representation other Americans have long enjoyed. Let us remember them by recommitting the nation to making the District of Columbia the 51st state of the United States of America. Thank you.
Thanks so much to Representative Norton. So we're now going to turn to Representative Veronica Escobar from Texas, 16. She's one of the plaintiffs in the first civil case against Trump, Giuliani, the Proud Boys, and the Oath Keepers following January 6th.
Hello, fellow lovers of democracy. Buenas noches. How are you? You all, thank you so much for being here on this cold January day, the anniversary of a horrific attack against our country and against our democracy. I was one of the nearly 24 members of Congress, all Democrats, who were trapped in the gallery after we had already been surrounded by the insurrectionists, after the bear spray and attacks against our Capitol police officers had begun, after the windows had been broken, and after we witnessed what would be unspeakable horrors against our country. It is a day I will never forget, and I want to express my gratitude to all of you for being here to make sure that our country never forgets. My friends, we are on a precipice right now, and we have a choice to make as Americans. January 6th can either mark the end of our democracy or the beginning of our march towards expansion of rights and justice and equity and fairness for all. And I choose the latter. I choose the latter. And I know that you all have made that choice as well. And so we have to do what generations have done before us. You know, all of us, we are standing on the shoulders of giants, people like my beloved colleague, the late John Lewis. People who marched and were bloodied and were beaten. People willing to put up the ultimate, their lives in defense of the right to vote for themselves and for others. People who were willing to not rest until they achieved justice. Those are the giants of democracy who led the way for all of us. We have to pick up the torch. We have to continue that march. We have to continue that fight because of that precipice that we're on, because of what happened a year ago, because of the threats to our country that exist today. And there's only one way that we will finally achieve that justice, and that is to demand it and to fight and make sure that the Senate hears our voice. Make sure that in every community across this country, we are gathering together and saying, ya basta, it is time to defend the vote. It's time to fight for every American's access to the ballot box. We need to make sure that we do this every single day until we achieve that goal, my friends. And your presence here today gives me tremendous hope, because I know that the fight for good will triumph over evil. I know it. I see it in your eyes, I see it in your faces, and I know it in my heart. God bless you, and God bless America and our democracy. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Representative Escobar, for those really inspiring words. So now I am thrilled to bring up Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland, a democracy champion fighting in the trenches with Public Citizen and all of you for years.
Thank you. It's great to see all of you. Thank you for being here to fight for our democracy, to secure our democracy. All of us know what is at stake, and we've got to act. We saw what happened just 1 year ago today. It was not an attack by a foreign power like we witnessed at Pearl Harbor. It was not an attack from a foreign terrorist group like we experienced on 9/11. It was an attack from within, and it was orchestrated and instigated by the former President of the United States, Donald Trump. And as a result of his actions, you saw thousands of people moving up that hill toward the citadel of democracy. You saw them take bear spray, you saw them take flagpoles and make them into weapons to beat police officers. You saw them take down an American flag and put up a Trump flag. That is not democracy in the United States of America. I want to thank the Capitol Hill Police. I want to thank the DC Metro Police and the National Guard for taking action that day that allowed us to come back and finish the job of certifying the election. They put their lives on the line, and some of them made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our democracy. And we have a duty to make sure we uphold their memory, and we have a duty to the American people. Because all of us know that while the violent mob failed to overturn the results of the election 1 year ago, that the big lie did not end there. In fact, the big lie has metastasized and spread throughout the country. So today, instead of seeing the violent mobs attacking the Capitol, you see that big lie materializing in a different form. You see it materializing in the form of legislatures, Trump Republican-controlled legislators, taking action in state after state to put up barriers to the ballot box. And they're not just trying to stop everybody from voting, they are targeting voters of color, they are targeting younger voters, they're targeting voters with disabilities. As the court said about an earlier effort in North Carolina, they are targeting voters of color with surgical precision. So what we saw here a year ago in the form of a violent coup attempt, we are now seeing in a slow motion coup attempt across this country. And we cannot let that stand. And that is why we have to take national action. We have to pass the Freedom to Vote Act. We have to establish uniform national standards to protect the right to vote of every American in every single state. I had hoped, many of us hoped a year ago, that the gravity of the moment would be fully felt by every member of the United States Congress. Every member of the Senate and every member of the House, both parties. And for a few hours that night, I think many of us had some hope that at least some of our Republican colleagues would recognize the moment in history that we faced. But today, in the Senate, we don't have a single Republican member willing to stand up and protect our democracy. That is not a political statement. That is a statement of reality. It's a statement of fact today. And so while we would like to see a bipartisan coalition stand up for the Freedom to Vote Act and for the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, we cannot wait to have that support, which is never coming.
That's right.
And that is why we have to reform the rules of the Senate. We have to reform the filibuster. You know, the original rules of the Senate were not designed to allow a minority of senators to block the will of the majority. It was designed to be a place of vigorous debate. It was designed to be a place of prolonged debate if senators felt strongly about an issue. But at the end of the day, it was designed to allow the majority to work its will and work the will of the American people. Today in the United States Senate, we have just the opposite. You have very little real debate in the United States Senate. A lot of statements, but no real vigorous debate. And you have a filibuster rule in its current form that allows the minority party not even to show up to block a measure, and to ultimately be able to allow the minority party or the minority on an issue to block a vote. We cannot allow a minority of senators to override the will of the American people. And that's what this is all about. This is about protecting our democracy. We can't allow an antiquated, undemocratic rule to stop us from protecting our democracy and making sure we implement the will of the American people. Every American has the right to vote. No state should be trying in this day and age, and never, to block anybody's right to vote. States have tried that in the past. We've had a long struggle in our country to overcome that. We're not going back. And we need to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, and we need to reform the filibuster to get it there. And we need every one of you to be right here pressing to make that happen, because we are going to have a vote in the United States Senate. We're going to have it before Martin Luther King Day. We're going to have it before January 17th. Everybody needs to be stand up, and everybody needs to be counted in the light of day. And with your help, we will muster the votes necessary to pass the Freedom to Vote Act and to protect our democracy. Thank you all very much for being on the front lines of our democracy.
Let's hear it for Senator Chris Van Hollen. And you know, the Senator, Jamie Raskin, reminded us the courage of the officers who defended the Capitol. But let us not forget, inside the Capitol.
Okay, to the folks who are watching while this rally is still ongoing, I have another story that I have to get to. So I'm going to cut the live stream, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll be live